Like Devin said, my name is Mark Benedetti. I run the Farm to City program at Harvest Home Farmers Market. I joined a few months ago in July of 2022, and I handle this program as well as most of farm recruitment for our markets. This presentation will be brief. I'll just give an introduction to our organization as well as the Farm to City program, and then have most of the time spent doing Q&A. So you can go to the next slide. Thank you. What is Harvest Home? Harvest Home was founded in 1993 by Maritza Owens, who's our current executive director. It's an organization managing 13 farmers markets in low-income communities in Brooklyn, Upper Manhattan, and the Bronx. Our aim is to bridge the gap between neighborhoods lacking fresh, healthy foods with local agriculture in the tri-state area. And I'm so happy to be talking to you guys today because we really want more New Jersey farmers. You guys are right next to the city and with great farmland. So really excited to be here. You can go to the next slide. The Farm to City program is a program by Harvest Home, thanks to support from USDA's Farmers Market Promotion Program, which is part of the Farm Bill. In recognizing the cost of coming into the city, this program supports farmers by helping to cover the cost of doing business. The goal is to make our markets more resilient and giving our communities more variety when they shop. The way this works is that it's a reimbursement process for costs to farmers such as tolls, fuel, labor, and market rent, among any other items you can think of bringing your produce into our markets. This can be used for up to several $100s per week per market for 10 of the 21-week market season. Now, the application process for this is pretty straightforward. Just fill out a general application as well as a Farm to City application by March 10th. The sooner the better. The Farm to City application will ask you to list your preferred markets, which will be all on our website, your estimated costs, your farmers market experience, your growing practices such as organic or non-organic, etc., and a crop plan. Next, Harvest Home will confirm eligibility and do our due diligence, which will include a farm site visit. Later, our selection committee will identify producers, excuse me, to offer the program to. This criteria will be based primarily on your operations capacity, your ability to commit to a full season, your market preferences, as well as other factors such as demand for your crop or product and interest in supporting food access. Whether or not you apply to this program, applicants are still welcome to join our markets depending on our market needs. And that's really my brief introduction. So we can go to the next slide, which will have my contact information. And I open the floor up to any questions you folks might have.
So Mark, can you tell us a little bit about Harvest Home's farmers markets themselves?
Absolutely. So our markets, we generally have about 2 to 4 farmers at each one is our goal. And right now it's primarily mostly vegetable growers. And what we're really looking forward to having is more fruit farmers, as well as more value-added products at our markets.
Yeah, I know fruit farmers are hard to come by.
Yeah, and our hours at the markets are 8 to 4, June through November.
Hi, this is Ashley from Farm Bureau. I've got a couple questions.
Sure.
So you said these markets, mostly the purpose of setting them up, you're in low-income areas, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So is the produce being sold at a discount?
No, farmers set up their own costs. We ask, obviously, no price fixing, keep it fair. But the goal is kind of so that you don't have to sell at such a high premium with this program, but it's definitely not discounted anyway. Our markets do accept EBT. We have a number of programs with the state, but for the farmers, these vouchers and coupons are just like cash.
So your state programs for farmers market assistance accept produce from out of state? I guess, like, yep. What's your definition of local for New York?
Oh, yeah, sure. We have farmers coming in from the Hudson Valley, New Jersey, and even Pennsylvania. So, and we'd like to get more in Western Connecticut too, or more New Jersey folks. So it's really just that tri-state and Eastern Pennsylvania.
Okay. And then in New Jersey right now, we're having an issue with, switching over to these EWIC machines and then these other programs, and whether the farmers are going to administer it or the markets themselves. For you guys in New York, is the market taking care of all of that and paying the farmer, or would they have to learn how to do all of this now in another state?
Yeah, sure. And there is a lot of Social Security, programs going on, but basically for EBT, food stamps, SNAP program, a person will come in with their SNAP card to a farmer's market stand where a farmer's market site coordinator run by Harvest Home will be. And they'll swipe their card and they'll tell them how many tokens they want, and they'll give them a dollar amount of tokens back. And the farmers will collect those tokens just like cash, and they'll hand them back to the site coordinator. We'll give you a receipt, and at the end of the month, we'll write you a check for whatever that value is. And the other programs as well, we have for WIC cards, farmers will just take those coupons directly, and you can accept them. I believe they're called health bucks in the city. And then the farmers, I believe, will process them on their own. But we have a process to help you through that. We try to make it as straightforward and easy for farmers as we can. We have our own bookkeeping staff that will guide you through that process.
Thank you.
Mark, as far as the grant project goes, is this a 3-year, a 5-year, a 1-year?
Yeah, sure. Great question. This is a part of a 3-year grant. We are in year 2. We had a great start year 1, but we really want to make this. It was kind of started halfway through the season, which obviously is very difficult for farmers to tack on more markets, especially in a drought year. But this year being 2023, will be the first full year of the program. And then it'll be up for renewal in 2025.
And what would you say I know it's hard to put numbers on things, but maybe the foot traffic, if you have data, or also the size of the farms that perform well? I'd hate to have obviously you're going to vet the farmers that apply and make sure that they have the capacity, but so as to not waste a small producer's time, if they're too small, if they don't have the capacity and the output to meet the demand at the market, do you have any kind of range for the size of a farm or their typical product output?
Oh, yeah, sure. We have a huge variety of farms. Some of you might be familiar with Alstead Farms. Fortunately, they weren't able to, this is out of date. They weren't able to join us this season. But basically the markets, I think the varieties of anything from a couple of acres to, much more than that, much larger farms. I think we have one that is like a very large operation, very large for a produce operation with 300 acres. So it's very varied. Regarding the markets themselves, I would say they are very popular. There'll be people literally lining up around the block at 8 a.m. They'll want to start selling before then. And the markets can be pretty steady throughout the day.
I have a question about the reimbursement from the USDA, the 10 of 20 weeks. So you potentially get reimbursed for half the time, or can you explain that?
Yeah, sure. So we have a 21-week season. You can have the costs reimbursed for 10 of those weeks. So it's about half of them. And we estimated the cap there to be roughly around like how much it would actually cost to bring your product into the city. So it would be almost being reimbursed for at cost. Any other questions?
Can you touch on, one of my perceived roadblocks to even wanting to get involved in a city market is the logistics. Set up, breakdown, finding a place to park. Are there ways that the markets facilitate the ease of load in and load out for vendors? Is there dedicated parking space for them, just so it's not a hectic rush for a parking spot?
Yeah, sure. Great question. Yep, we coordinate with the DOT and the NYPD. You'll be getting placards. Basically, you get in to prevent parking tickets for your vans or trucks or whatever you're bringing in. And the street is closed down so that you're able to park there in the morning, and you'll have that parking spot all day. And people are bringing in everything from cargo vans to large, large trucks.
Are there anything
Refrigerated via truck?
Are there any things that come to mind as far as the success of this program so far this year? Things you've learned, things that farmers might want to consider when coming on board this program, or anything learned from year one on?
Yeah, sure. We had one farm who was very successful with this program. They were able to tack on additional markets to the point that they needed to lease additional land to meet capacity. So that being said, I think the main thing to remember is just to, make sure you have the capacity going forward. We'll go over your crop plan, that sort of thing. We really want to make this as straightforward as possible for farmers. We'll even, write blank invoice forms for you to fill out for labor and tolls or whatever you need. We try to do all the heavy lifting on our side so you can just focus on growing the food and selling it. And deal with the complicated grant government stuff for us.
Well, that's awesome. And outside the Farm to City program, are there any other efforts that Harvest Home is taking to try and improve food access and food security? And I'm just curious now about the organization in general.
Oh, yeah, sure. At our markets, we do cooking demonstrations. Basically, we have a community chefs come in and they do a cooking demonstration using crops from one of our farms. And they have recipe cards and they'll give away the produce from the recipe so that people can try it out at home. And a major part of that is education for the public to learn about what grows seasonally in our area and how to use those products at home. So that's a major part of it. We also work with senior centers, community groups, and health centers to do similar things like that. And farmers are compensated for those produce bags we give away. Our organization buys them from the farmer.
Cool. I mean, this all seems like a great opportunity for a farmer looking for a market. Do you have any regulations on the value added? You mentioned you're seeking value added producers. And I know farmers markets can be rife with cottage food industry producers that aren't necessarily tied into local farms, but still provide value to a market. So how does Harvest Home draw the distinction between producers versus bakers and cottage food producers, if that question makes sense?
Yeah, sure. Excuse me. Great question. We do have bakers actually at our markets. And our line is basically, it has to be a food product. Sometimes people do like salves and beauty creams and that sort of thing. That can be iffy. But when it gets to like jewelry, that's not really our thing. So that's kind of where the line is once it's like into a manufactured product. But regarding value added, basically we ask that 30% of the products you sell are grown on your farm. That's our cap. So if you need to buy different products for your value added, we'd have to get an ingredient list and find out your sourcing.
Cool. I appreciate that. There's plenty of markets where you have a jam vendor, and I'm not calling out any Jersey jam vendors, but they have a jam vendor, and once a year they'll use a seasonal ingredient, but they'll market it as local year round. And it's hard to keep on top of folks that are doing that.
Sure.
Well, a lot of farmers do have truly on-farm value-added products.
Right, right.
Mark, to give you sort of a more general question, and I don't mean to put you on the spot if this isn't your expertise, but so my understanding is the Harvest Home Farmers Market was started back in 93.
Yep, that's correct.
The organization was started in 93, and you've been doing farmers markets in New York City since then? I mean, is that what has been the organization? So the farm to city, is that reflective of a grant that you got from USDA? Is that correct?
Yeah, sure. It's a new program. It came in part from COVID when everything had to shut down and supply chains in our food system, was really falling apart a little bit. Basically, inflation started to rise. It was very difficult for farmers to come into the city. And we want to, and especially for our markets, we wanted to have more farmers and more choice in our markets. So this program is kind of a way to incentivize farmers to come in. So it's a new program just this year.
Can you talk a little bit about the process of getting that grant? It seems like, there's a lot of discussion about the role of the USDA to try to support farmers getting access to customers, and also the challenge of getting into low income neighborhoods. You feel like, I'm just curious, NOFA New Jersey has struggled with being a small organization, sort of having a hard time getting a grant from the USDA because they want to give a really huge grant. Can you talk about the process that you guys have gone through to get this grant?
Yeah, sure. I can talk a little bit of it. The actual application design of this grant was before my time, but I can describe a little bit about the history. Basically, when the Farm Bill was coming up with the Farmers Market Promotion Program, we knew it was in existence, and we knew there was more money available for food access in response to COVID. And so we came up with this program because we were talking to our farmers and listening to them and their challenges. And so that's how we wrote the grant. Specifically, we came up with this program, and we're working within partnership with the USDA to apply. I know that's a very general description, and I'm sorry I can't be more specific than that. But it was a lot of discussion and collaboration with our farmers to write and apply for the grant. Any other questions?
I have one more. This is Ashley again. How many farmers are you currently working with, and how many more are you looking for this next season?
Sure. Great question. I'm trying to count. Believe we have at least a dozen farmers. We're trying to aim, our goal, generally speaking, is we'd like to add at least 10 more farmers through this program next year. And I would love to try to get 20 as my personal goal. It's ambitious, but that's our goal right now, is to add an additional 10 farmers next year. Mostly because we'd love to have more farmers at each market. We managed to get a minimum of 2 this year, but we'd like to get at least 3 or 4 in each market.
And then I think you said there's one more year left in this grant. What do you anticipate after that? Like,
Sure. So 2023 will be year 2, and 2024 will be year 3. In 2024, we will reapply with the USDA, and we're hoping that we show that this grant is a great success and able to bring farmers into our program. And then we'll reapply, and fingers crossed, we will we'll have the grant granted again for 2025 through 2028.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks, Mark, for joining us.
Yes.
Any other, just thoughts, anything you want to share with us about the program? Things that you enjoyed about it or experiences you've had out there on the street?
Yeah, sure. I will say, you can tell from our video going across the screen now that our markets are really vibrant. People really love and enjoy our markets. I think it's a great program. Farmers seem to get a lot out of it. They really become part of the community. I think it's just a great way to, benefit everyone, essentially.
In you guys, the senior farmers market nutrition program and the WIC
Yep.
farmers market, you guys do all your, is that part and parcel of becoming a vendor that you would need to approve, be able to accept those checks?
Oh, yeah, that's a great question. Yeah, you would have to accept the WIC. We would help guide you through that process. Regarding the farmers market senior program, that's another one that can come right through us. We'll get, and basically when seniors come to our little tent at each market, we'll give them a coupon, and then farmers would accept those coupons. At the end of the day, we'll check them out and we'll write you a receipt. And at the end of the month, we'll send you a check for the reimbursement for that amount.
Nice. We've had a little struggle with the administration of that program in New Jersey, where there's some random situations where they've kicked people out of the program for not having enough acreage. Is that something
Okay.
you've talked about at all or experienced at all? Any problems with farmers being judged ineligible because they're on too small an acreage?
I don't think so. Not in my experience. I can follow up with you, but I think we handle most of those kind of things. So it'd still be part of the vetting process, but I don't think that's an issue. As long
Right.
as you can meet capacity
Uh-huh.
for a full season.
So
We do allow,
basically,
oh yeah. I just wanted to mention, we do allow daily vendors, which are, folks just coming in for once a week or just for a month. But this program specifically, Farm to City, would be for folks signing on for a full season.
and then just to be clear that I understand that. So the seniors who get from the USDA farmers market nutrition check, I think monthly, is it? I'm not sure how often they get them, but you're saying that the seniors would be able to get a way to spend that money from the market managers themselves? How does
Yes.
that
Yep.
work? Is that like, I know one farmer's market we participate in, they give you market bucks, which are like a little token. Is that
Yeah.
how you do it? Or
Yep. We do little tokens as well as health bucks with the city, that's more of an EBT program, but it's all the same. It's just like cash. For the
isn't it
farmers.
interesting that like an organization like yourself, how important it is that this organization get in the mix to be able to help the government program be able to actually make the cash get into the hands of the farmers?
Oh yeah, sure.
It's people sort of lose track, I think, of like what is the role of a community organization, or why is a nonprofit important? And I think this is the USDA program of providing funds that are directly going to go to a farmer at a farmer's market it's such a great program, and yet we still have to sort of figure out how to actually make it work by stepping up. So I'm really appreciative of the work that you do in that regard. Thank you for helping both the seniors and the WIC recipients and the farmers.
Oh, thank you very much. All right.
There aren't
If
any,
there are other, oh, go ahead.
I was going to say the same thing you were saying, Mark. If anybody else has any questions, please speak them now. Otherwise, we'll move on to open discussion. If anyone has any topics, community topics. The last thing I will say, Mark, is thank you for joining us, of course, but also how can we help continue, helping you recruit members, recruit farmers. Do you want us to just direct them to your email, to your website, both?
Yeah, that'd be great. If you can just send them to my email or my phone number, I think you have my contact information, as well as if there's any other questions. But if you know folks looking for another market to tack on for 2023, please send them my way.
Okay. I'll also shamelessly promote our winter conference if you want to engage farmers and
Yeah,
solicit some potential candidates. Come and join us. It's last
I'd
Saturday.
love to. I think I will. I'll try to be there.
Awesome. We'd love to have you.
Great. All right. Thank you so much.
So
Yeah.
this is Ashley again, just one more plug. The New Jersey State Ag Convention is February in Atlantic City.
Okay.
And that's a really great opportunity to engage with hundreds of farmers from across the state as well.
Okay. I'll try to be there as well. All right. Awesome.
I'll add that to my plug list too, Ashley.
Thanks so much, everyone. Take care.
Thanks, Mark. So no rain yet.
No rain yet, although it's supposed to come down. It was drizzling a little bit just a minute ago driving. It is cold and miserable outside though.
Yep.
See you, Tess.
So in the spirit of
Anything
open
new, Mike?
house, anybody that has a question or a topic they want to talk about, feel free to speak up and share it. Jose, I'm not sure I know you.
Yes, hello everybody. Hi. My
Hello.
name is Jose Spelman Lopez. I am a recent hire over at CATA, a farm worker rights organization based out of Bridgeton. And
Awesome.
so, yes, thank you for having me. This is my second week. And so I saw an opportunity, previous experience was in Philadelphia and now I'm in New Jersey. So I'm trying to jump into the scene, growing scene here. And so I see that the winter conference is coming up, and I know in the past Kata has attended with some of its members and some of its youth, and so I've been tasked to gather interest to see who wants to tag along this year. And so I was just kind of looking at the website and just seeing what are some keynote speakers and what are some topics that are being covered. But I don't seem to find it, so I don't know if I'm not looking in the right place or if it's still to be announced.
I will scroll on the page. So the certainly on the website, we've got the conference listed. Did you find that at the
Yes.
NOFA website?
Mm-hmm.
And it may just not quite be. I'm not sure how. I'm struggling here how to get there. Okay, programs.
If you go to the bottom of calendar, yeah. We've got our speakers lined up, almost all of them, but the website has not been updated just yet. We're waiting to get some more biographies and photos in. Nice to meet you, Jose. I'm really excited. We should touch base further and figure out how Kata and NOFA New Jersey can work closer together.
Yes,
Y'all-
definitely. Yeah, I've seen, going through my predecessor's notes, it seems like, they've been, a constant attendee, and I see a lot of great things that come from it. The folks, come back with a lot of knowledge, and they incorporate it into our garden space. So yeah, we definitely gotta find a way to make it out this year.
So is your predecessor Katya?
Yes. Mhm.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah, so we're still in contact. Now they're moved on to another org, still in the food systems. And so it's great because they make themselves available for little questions. And so I'm not just left to figure it all out on my own. And I also I'm a coordinator. So the person who was running it last year is also there. And so I'm just there to support, it's my first year, and I just kind of want to not do too much dramatic changes, just kind of see what's working for them and how, from my previous experience, kind of address those sticking issues. And yeah, this great opportunity, the folks in Bridgeton, they have, diverse backgrounds, and so they're into planting, certain things that are not found at the typical farmer's market. And so just like looking, hearing the previous presentation, it sounded like a great opportunity to kind of, feel like there's a need, there's like a place where it feels like, we could be welcome in a farmer's market somehow by being able to bring these like herbs and, spices and things that aren't real common, but folks are looking for. So yeah, it's great to know that there's opportunities out there.
Jose, can you, while we got you here, can you
Yep.
talk a little bit more about how you came to be part of Kata and kind of what inspires you about the organization? I know that I don't know nearly enough about it. I've been down to deliver seedlings to you guys a couple times in the spring.
Yes.
And it's a long way from where I live, but it was, I sort of felt like I got an education about New Jersey driving there, and was happy to meet some folks there. And, it's really great to make the connections. So I'm glad you're here today, and I'd really love to hear, kind of your personal engagement, and also, what sort of the mission is, and how you see Kata being significant for your folks.
Definitely. Yeah. So, the great thing about Kata, they've existed for a while, and focusing on farm worker rights. And so here in this area, Bridgeton, Millville, Vineland, there's a lot of ag-centered agriculture, and there's a lot of folks living out here. And so, it is their mission to kind of inform these farm workers of their rights. And so until recently, it was mainly focused on the workers in the fields, but just recently they had this food justice program that was initiated, and it focuses on the teens and the youth in the area. And so some of them are the children of these farm workers. Some of them, we also do outreach into the local high schools. But basically what this internship does, it's a paid internship year round, and the students kind of get to learn, we focus on food justice and like defining those terms and what it means to them and in their home and in their community. And along the way, we have a garden space that where we grow produce that is made available to the community. And so they get to learn along that. So all the skill sets that's required, from seed to sale. But also we have like projects that focus more about food justice, and we have presentations and guest speakers come about. And right now is a great time to come on board because I get to like catch up with what has happened in the past. But I got to find Kata because I moved to the area. I was recently living in Philadelphia, also in the food growing scene, working with the after school garden program and being educated there. So I kind of found, once I moved to New Jersey, I was looking to stay in the same career field, and I just looked around local agriculture nonprofit organizations, and Kata had a lot of like open, like come and volunteer days. And so I got to do that, and they had a couple of tabling events, and I really liked the organization, and I got to see like the youth involved within these events. And so I was really drawn to that. And there was a job opening, and I was able to kind of jump on board. And it was great because this internship model is like some of the students, like their documentation is in question, so they're not able to participate in some of these opportunities that the other students are able to. And so like the focus of the internship is to like kind of provide some of that internship experience that might be missing out because of their documentation status. And so that could be something like a driver's license, or like the prom, or like trips that out of the country. And so we're just trying to kind of make that experience feel like they're not missing out on that, but also kind of preparing them for what it is that they want to do during high school and after. So something as simple as like having a time budget, but we start with our budget for the market, and so like we kind of go through these exercises so that we learn together, and then they get a chance to explore it on the side and then apply that to their own personal life. And so regardless of what they do after this internship program, it's like we try to provide that real world knowledge that is not always taught in the classroom, but sometimes in the garden space kind of makes it a little bit more easier. So you could have like an actual example. And yes, and so that is Kata in a nutshell. And then that's how I came to be. But my passion is, yeah, growing food. And it started with me failing to grow my own salsa. And so through a learning journey and through undergraduate studies, soil science, and all these things, I came to find out. And my background was in computer science. And so there's a way and a method that everything is explained and works. And so I was trying to find that in the way of agriculture. And yeah, I've been able to kind of join the two. And very fortunate that I'm able to like still be in this career field and serving the folks where I felt like I was missing in my upbringing, growing up in Los Angeles, California, and not being encouraged. Everybody around me being from a migrant home, you know, the fields and going into agriculture was something that they weren't looking forward to. They felt like, me being first generation born here, they felt like there was greater opportunities, thinking that agriculture was not a way for them to like prosper. But here I am, you know, to prove otherwise. And yeah, so I kind of feel like I am that place. I am that person that was missing in my upbringing. And yeah, so hopefully I do them right by continuing and knowing that it's such a great and vast area, and just needing to network and, you know, not trying to reinvent the wheel, and like finding allies that are in this and are able to kind of help us out.
That's awesome.
Thank
That
you.
was really well said too. There's so much there to unpack. Not least of which is just the huge lift of serving farm workers who are either working or trying to scrape some food together, or trying to catch some sleep before they got to get up and get out to work again. It's a hard group to reach. So it makes a lot of sense to reach the teens and the kids. When I delivered seedlings to you guys, it was at your garden in, I forget which town. Do you guys have multiple gardens, or?
Yes, yeah, we have in New Jersey, we're in Bridgeton, and Pennsylvania, they're in Kennett Square. They also have a space in Maryland, Salisbury, Maryland, and I believe that there's one more, but that's what pops to mind right now. Yeah, so but the main focus in the growing is in Bridgeton, but we're looking also to support Kennett Square because they have a growing space, but it's just you know, more of the workforce or is in Bridgeton. So yeah,
Right.
so most likely you might have came out to Bridgeton.
Yeah. And you know, driving there, it's like you go through so much farmland. And whenever I've been there thinking about Kata's mission and the population that you hope to serve, I'm looking at that farmland and just wondering, you know, how do we get more people on that farmland? How do we get more of that farmland engaged in producing products? And, you know, so that's why it's so exciting to have, you know, to have the connection with you and to hear from you, and to, you know, I just look forward to building a relationship and doing more. And looks, we got a Sherry Dudas has got her hand raised, so maybe we got a question. Go ahead, Sherry. I'm muted. You're muted, Sherry. There we go.
Thank you very much. Good morning, everybody. And Jose, thanks for sharing your story. Kata came up in a meeting that I was at last night. There are some interested farmers and agricultural service providers in applying for a USDA grant for various potential projects that would focus on South Jersey farmers. And one of the project areas that we were talking about is a possible farmers co-op that would serve South Jersey growers. Do you see that being a need with the Kata community?
Thank you, Sherry, for keeping us in mind. And yeah, that is something that I've been trying to like go through and see, like through the notes, and you know, being my first and second week actually, like yeah, just kind of finding out. And but that is something that I feel like that is my interest, you know. And but being there first, I gotta kind of gauge the situation, you know. But yeah, that is something I could come back and like ask the greater team to see if that is something that is already happening. And but you know, just like earlier it was said, Devin was saying that, you know, the fruit capacity of New Jersey could be something that could be augmented. And then with Mike saying, you know, there's a lot of farmland, you know, something like an orchard, you know, could be taking place. And that is something, you know, it takes a while for the orchard to be fruitful, but it's something that, like, you know, we have the space, we have the you know, the people, and it's just like kind of figuring those little things out. So me as a newcomer, I could kind of see these points of interest like be there. And so just like I feel like, yeah, do more communication with my team and like asking if, you know, how um we are in terms of like a farmers co-op. But yeah, you know, there's a lot of co-ops in town, like the Amish Farmers Co-op, you know, has had many iterations and locations. And so I just see that and I see like, yeah, there was once an interest, and what will it take to respark that interest? You know, and yeah, so right now I'm definitely taking notes, and maybe if we could share contact information, I can like follow up with you with a more detailed um answer.
Excellent. I'll put my contact info in the chat.
Thank you. I will do the same.
Okay, thanks.
Hey Sherry, thanks for joining in. And I don't mean to cut in, Mike. I just had a quick question. Jose, within the community you serve, I imagine there's got to be often times when an employee wants to leave their employer, but they don't have a better option. Meanwhile, there are tons of farms throughout the state right now that are really hurting for labor. I'd like to find a way that we can marry our two needs, you know, your need to serve your community and the farm's needs for, you know, good, hardworking employees. I don't know if this is something that's ever been explored between CATA and other organizations, you know, job placement. And I'm not too informed of the nuances of everything you do, but it's something that I definitely love to try and push for, you know, a better funnel for where you find workers employed in less than ideal situations. If we can help them find better employment on New Jersey small farms that actually give a darn about their employees' health and safety.
Yes, definitely. Yeah, that sounds like something that should be right in our wheelhouse, you know. And so yeah, I definitely taken notes, and I will share this and share with Jessica Cully, you know, who's our the head of the office here. And so yeah, I will definitely follow up with that and like kind of see where that is, because yeah, that sounds like something that shouldn't be, you know, it sounds like something that's plausible that has happened, that has been asked of before. And so yeah, I'm definitely writing it down, and I'll follow up.
Cool. Yeah, I've got your email. I'm definitely going to follow up with you after this as well.
Thank you.
Jose, talking about subject matter, you know, in the process, we do an annual winter conference about organic agriculture and gardening and homesteading, and trying to live an ecologically sensitive life. Can you think of some talks or speakers? Anybody come to mind? Or any, you know, it's hard in the moment to get the question and come up with the thing. So, you know, if it come up with it later, let us know. But off the top of your head, you know, is there a speaker who's real popular that you hear people talking about? Is there a subject matter that you think would be inspiring or interesting for either workers or the teams that you work with or will be working with?
Yes, from like a from the community, volunteers slash gardeners, I know like one of the things they've been like very interested in is like medicinal herbs and like their uses and like how to, you know, just they have home remedies, but that's all they are. And you know, and a lot of people kind of seem to seek this around the time, and so they've been like trying to figure out how they can like produce their own. And so like going through and like value added products is something also as well. You know, they have things that they like to, you know, grow and create, like was recao, which is very similar to pesto, but it's like their own blend of herbs and oil. And so like, you know, just adding, being able to, you know, have that, you know, to create, to make for yourselves, but then like thinking about like, you know, offering this as a value added product, or just, you know, extending the shelf life of something like this. And so just from viewing like the most recent work and what they've been interested in is, again, medicinal herbs, and so, and just value added products. And yeah, that's from the top of my head, but I could definitely share some more once I review.
Yeah, those are good ones. And those are key, close to the heart of the New Jersey organic farming and homesteading community. Those are always core topics of discussion. And how do you certainly for the small farm who gets access to the marketplace through a farmer's market because they've got good carrots and salad mix and tomatoes, it's always the next step. It's like, how do you increase your income by doing some value added? And right now it's, there's not a lot of industry support for that. It used to be, way back when it used to be, there were canneries all around and processors and things like that. And so the question, I think we're really in an exciting time where it's time for that to all be recreated. And, and it's there's no better place than the farm workers and their families to be involved in that, and to drive where those things are situated, who they're serving. And it's critical for, the voices to be heard. So it's really inspiring that you're here today, doing the outreach that you're doing. And I just want you to know how excited we are to have that potential for a connection.
Yeah, thank you for being very attentive and asking these questions. And I'm feeling very welcome. And I appreciate that. And I see Devin also in the chat. Informing us that, a couple of keynote speakers will be there to talk about, medicinal herbs. So then I could go back to my group and let them know, that topic will be covered. So, drum up some more excitement to attend NOFA.
And it's the kind of thing that it's important for us to be talking about because, as an organization like NOFA, part of our mission is outreach and building our connections throughout the state. And part and parcel of that is offering scholarships, so if somebody wanted to come to the conference, we're going to be able to provide them a scholarship if they can't afford it. Likewise, be exciting to try to get a van together because it's a drive, to get from Bridgeton up to New Brunswick. And, it's the kind of thing if you had a group of folks that wanted to come and there was a way that we could support you by, putting gas in the tank and renting a van, we would be very much in favor of that.
Yes, thank you. I appreciate it. Yeah, this is great news. That's my task this week, to get some folks interested. And so I will definitely be following up. Would it be with you, Mike, or would it be with Devin, or both?
Devin's our executive director. He's the key player. This year we've got an winter conference coordinator too. So Lynn, maybe somebody that you would talk to, but Devin is really your key contact. And you probably know or learning about with Kata. I'm not sure if they're the same format as us, but as a nonprofit organization, we have a board of volunteers who are responsible for oversight of the organization. But then the staff of the organization, starting with the executive director, really make the day-to-day decisions and, make the plans and whatnot. So like I'm on the board, Stephanie Harris, who's on this call, is also on the board. And, so I think I heard Stephanie start to say something, so I'll stop. I got another thought I want to share with you though, but Steph, did you have something? You're muted, Stephanie.
I had a very specific growing question, so I could hold that until we're finished with our discussion of kata.
Okay, so I'll just finish my one thought, Jose. I ran a farm worker training program for 10 years on the basis of my sort of understanding. So I'm a landowner, and one of the challenges of hiring workers is they may or may not understand the system that the farm owner has. They may or may not respect that. they may or may not understand the other factors that, play in the farm owner's choices and decisions. And so the only way I could see to address that was to run a training program, which was to get those workers into a position of responsibility so they could be making the hard decisions about how to, spend their time, what projects to focus on and whatnot. And I found it to be really exciting. It was a 3-year program, and the potential to put workers into positions of responsibility within 3 years to get them to the point where they could run a farm, I think it's very viable, and it's something that we should be doing across the state. And, I think we're looking at this picture on the screen here of your garden in Bridgeton, and I don't see what should hold us back from having that be a 5-acre or 10-acre farm with Kata's Bridgeton farm.
Definitely, yeah. The interest is definitely there. People are showing up, every Saturday, regardless of the weather. Like folks showed up this Saturday and they cleaned out the tool shed. So people are very excited to be there, and yeah, so that is definitely one of our goals, to see if we could expand our acreage and tap into our networks and see which of our friends and allies, has a little bit of space, to kind of expand this. Because, people want the bigger crops like the gourds and the watermelons, and and you can see another little space,
Yeah.
it'll be it'll take over, and so
Yeah.
that is something that I definitely want to touch and base with the team and see, because I definitely, the interest is there. And yeah, I'm fortunate enough through my travels to be able and see other examples of kind of this in progress, kind of like a farmer apprenticeship program,
Yeah.
kind of similar to what you're saying. And yeah, so I've seen some models, I've seen them kind of work, and then just kind of now it's now what do you call, selective, what elements of those programs make sense for us here. And
Yeah.
that, thanks Mike for putting that back into my radar, and yeah, I'll definitely want to go back and take this to them and see where we're at, because yes, you were right. One of Kata's missions is to kind of provide farm worker training, especially with something like with pesticides or personal protective equipment and whatnot. And
Yeah.
so so that model kind of fits what you're kind of talking about, so if it's an organic farm system, or biodynamic, there's very different ways of managing
Yeah.
the thing. And so I think, yeah, it is something that I feel like is within our capacity already. It wouldn't be too far of a stretch. And so just kind of lining up our resources and seeing where we're at. And so thank you. I made note and I will follow up.
Cool. All right. Well, I look forward to talking to you more, and I'll turn it over to Stephanie.
Well, I do have one question for you, Jose, and that is one of the biggest hurdles for growers in Central Jersey, and it could be elsewhere, for hiring labor is housing. And I was wondering if Kata helps in any way to find housing for the workers.
Yes, housing. Yes, that is something that I'm not too familiar with, but I'm definitely I could find out more about that. I know, yeah, we have open house hours every Monday, and so yeah, this previous Monday, yeah, folks, were and it's held after hours because folks, are working. So the office hours are from 6 to 9, and a couple of people showed up. And yeah, this is my second week there, and I definitely could find out more about it. But I know it's all, when someone is unemployed, I know they help them out with food and other resources, temporary assistance. And so housing I see as one of those elements that is essential. And so I don't see why not. But at the moment, I'm not too well versed in that to speak more about it. But I could definitely follow up with you, Stephanie. Yes.
I think Devin might be driving, so maybe I'll take the reins to thank everybody for coming today to the conversation. And Jose, I'm really glad you spoke up and joined us today, because it's very exciting. We've been, NOFA generally has been trying to figure out how to build on our relationship, sort of very small relationship with Kata to make it a more significant thing. And right now, we've got a big grant in the works where we're trying to work with the Division of Fish and Wildlife to access a lot of farmland that they want to have in organic management. And it's got some limitations, but it might be the thing that kicks us off to be able to have a way to create nodes of influence and investment throughout the state. And so in South Jersey, for sure, because you guys are well established there, it would be really key to have you guys as founding partners in that effort. So we've got a lot of ways to reach out to build the relationship, and I hope we're going to start at the winter conference, if not sooner.
Yes, definitely. Yeah, this is very exciting. A lot of opportunities. This is definitely where I needed to be this morning, to kind of get plugged in. And yeah, there's a lot of opportunities. And yeah, Kata is here, and I am a new member, and I'm looking forward to, strengthening our relationships and our bonds.
Great. Thank you. And thank you, everybody, for joining.
Thanks, y'all.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.